Hey guys, my name is Simply Velka. Thank you so much for checking out this video. In this video, I want to answer one of my friend's questions that she put on on my latest video. And it's such a perfect question actually. But before I even get into that, I want to just like address my whole background and stuff, looking all fancy. I'm actually visiting family in Texas right now, and so I'm in my old room. And so it's been so wonderful, you guys. I haven't seen my family in over 2 years. Um, and yeah, it's been an interesting experience, but it's been also just so wonderful to be able to just see everybody and see my friends and see my animals and stuff. But yeah, that's part of the reason why I haven't been able to do tarot videos this week, because it's just been like hectic and trying to like make time for everything, and also I've been like sick. But y'all don't need my life story, but just know that coming next week everything's gonna go back to a routine. Well, technically I get back Tuesday, so whatever, I'm just gonna drop this. But so let's just get into the actual question of the video. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna put it up on the screen for you guys, but I don't remember the question by heart, so I'm just gonna read it real quick. So Maddie H says, "Hi Velka." Hi. I would really love to see a video on managing fear when trying to work with demons, or just fear and spirituality in general. Aside from that, I'm excited to see what you put out on your channel. I've been missing your content. Thank you so much, Maddie. Thank you. I really want to do more of this as well. So if you guys have any other questions, I kind of want to make this... I'm like showing a little bit too much skin. Hello. I really want to do more of these as well. So maybe we can make this like a weekly thing. So if you have any other questions for regards to spirituality, I guess anything, just put it down below or on any video that you're watching, and then maybe I'll answer that in a coming week. Your question in a coming week. But yeah, your question is so perfect, Maddie. You have no idea, because I've actually been addressing this fear with some of my best friends right now, actually. Sienna and Chad, which I don't even know if they wanted to be mentioned in my videos, but I don't care. But yeah, not to really get too deep into anyone's business, but like Sienna's been having such close encounters when it comes to astral projecting, and so I've been working with her on addressing those fears that she has, and as well as with Chad, who I just had the wonderful opportunity of just recently starting reconnecting with after so many years, after we've been able to like grow in our separate ways and just reconnect again. It's been so wonderful. But yeah, so I'm just gonna address, I'm gonna speak in broad terms, but also address the demons in general. This is kind of like there's so many different parts to this, right, Maddie? There's like, when you think of demon, first thing I want to say is, what do you consider a demon? To me personally, I consider a demon a type of race or a species of an astral being. Whereas I know a lot of people will just associate demon with malevolent beings that will just bring harm to you. You know, all that good stuff. Well, I guess it's not really good to be harmed, but you know what I mean. And so that's first and foremost, is like, you keep in mind the vocabulary is different for everybody. And because people just use demons, a lot of people will use, and a lot of information that's put out there for demons is used in such a broad descriptor for beings in general, because for whatever reason, you know, then there's going to be like a miscommunication. So while I'm talking about demons, I could be talking about something entirely different than someone else's version of demons. So it's like, you first and foremost think of that as well. I think that's like a big part in like why people kind of freak out when it comes to, when I say it's just like, oh, I work with demons. Not that I just announce it, but you know, because it's just like, well, why would you just like work with something that's just going to hurt you, bring harm to you? It's like, no, you know. And also another thing is like, any information that's posted out there, a lot of the information that's posted out there, any information spiritually related anyways, is under a bias. Even in this video, this is bias. Like, you're hearing my own bias of spirituality, because when it comes to spirituality, it's very hard to prove certain things. Well, a lot of things. That's why spirituality is as taboo as it is. And so, you know, because everything's energy, everyone's translating energy differently. Everyone has their own vocabulary, their own descriptor for things. You know, I'll use, for example, for the vocabulary that we use in our coven, Akelta, which I'll put a link down below as well. Akelta did a wonderful blog post on sludge entities, and what we categorize as sludge is what the general public would categorize as demons in general. Does that make sense? That may be like a little bit confusing, but so it's just like, yeah, it's really like a difference in vocabulary. And keep in mind as well, going back to like the whole bias thing, you know, my first experience when it came to connecting with otherworldly beings was connecting to my spirit guide and connecting to the archangels. You know, in some cultures, those would be considered demons as well. I think even spirit guides would be considered demons in Christianity. And so you have to really just, when you are reading things, because I think it's so important to research, and we're in a day and age now where it's just that there's so much information out there. Back when I first started with spirituality, there wasn't anything really available. But really, just in spirituality in general, what I want to tell people is that it's like, don't feel like you have to go down a certain path. Don't think you have to, don't try to find the person that's like the most, that you think is like the most accurate, or, well, I'm not explaining this well. I guess, Maddie, since you are familiar with demons, I'm guessing, you might know some of these, other people, who also are part of the left-handed path, like this, like, so when you can think of like the left-handed path and you think of demons, we have like people like VK who puts information out there on not just demons, but demons as well. We have Connolly as well, who puts out who has the book of Demonology, which I recommend to everybody. Which I also want to say, like, as a side note, I recommend anything from VK as well, because like I enjoy his information. I enjoy people's content when it comes to spirituality. I may not agree with everything that both individuals post, but that's just life. I don't agree with, like, here's like maybe like a mind twist for some of you guys. Like, I don't agree with everything that even like my own coven sisters put out there, you know, or like their own viewpoints. We all have varying opinions, varying experiences on things. And it doesn't mean any of us are wrong or anyone's more right than the other person. It's just our own experiences. And while there is some consistencies, there's some, you know, when you're working with a certain deity, there are some common factors on things. But you know, my relationship with Lord Rossier is, I'm sure, vastly different than everybody else's that I mentioned with Lord Rossier. And so there's no one right person. So you may read stuff from VK, and then you may read stuff from Connolly, and you may read stuff from me, or hear stuff from me, and you may resonate more with stuff from Connolly, or you may resonate more stuff with VK. That's okay. You know, it doesn't make me wrong. It does. If you resonate with VK stuff more than Connolly's and my stuff, that doesn't make Connolly and my stuff wrong, and VK being like the figurehead. I know this may just like scratch a bunch of people's egos as well, just because they want to be viewed as like the top dog. But that's just really like, that's just my opinion, the reality of it. And so what I want to suggest to you, Maddie, and I feel, well, anyone in general, is that go with what resonates with you. If you're reading VK stuff and the stuff that he's saying, his approach on things when it comes to working with beings, makes sense to you, do that. You know, that's not there's no wrong way of doing things. The only way to do things wrong in spirituality is following someone else's spiritual path and trying to make it your own. Does that make sense? So it's like, the reason why, you know, I want to say, like, there's a lot of things I resonate with. I resonate with Buddhism. I resonate with demonology from Connolly. I resonate with Wiccan. I resonate with Christianity big time as well. This may be a shocker to some people. All these different branches of things. There's certain things that I can take from each belief system and make and it makes sense to me. But I'm not going to just read like the book of demonology and follow everything that Connolly does by the book and then be like, okay, by me following her path entirely, that's gonna somehow make it my spiritual path. It's not. Like, there is a level where you have to make it your own. That's not to say Connolly's path is wrong entirely or at all, but it's just like, it's, in my opinion, it's weird to me to just follow like a book and just treat that book as like the final word, and like having no personal say, no personal opinion, no personal, your own personal touch to it. Because it's like, when it comes to spirituality is the one thing that you have, there are no rules on it. There's no one that you have to follow. There's no one that's telling you what you have to do. There's no guidelines that you have to follow. Just go with what makes sense. And I guess maybe that's kind of like dismissive, or just like maybe just like too simple, but it's like, that's just really how it makes sense in my brain. So it's like, I will tell you this, it's like, did I have some fear when it came to first working with the demons? I mean, I'm sure there was like a little bit of like my first experience when aside from like connecting with some of the Dark Lords and ladies prior, but like my first like astral projecting experience when it came to the demons, like I was scared in a sense, but like I guess I'll get in like a little bit of detail. So basically, whenever I first astral projected and I was connecting with a specific demon, I didn't know what to expect. And so when I first came out of my body, I just saw like this large, like shadowy mass in the corner. And then I heard like this really like low, like guttural, like growling, like a growling I've never heard in my life before. And I was like crying, like y'all, I was sobbing. And like the funny part is like I was sobbing, but like I still went over to embrace them. As weird as it sounds, like there was a part of me that was just like, I genuinely thought, I was just like, oh God, maybe I'm just gonna, is this where I die, sort of thing. But there's still a huge part where I was just like, no, this makes sense. You know, I knew that I kind of had to like address my fear face on. And then once I addressed my fear face on, then I was just like, wait a minute. Like, my fear was stemmed off of a narrative of what could possibly go wrong. I don't know if I worded that right. So it's like, what I was scared of was the reality of a storyline playing out of something bad happening when I started connecting with the demons. And so instead of like feeding, like I gave so much energy into this fear, this thing that wasn't even confirmed. I had no reference other than negative bias of the information that was put out there. And then, I don't know, something just kind of like clicked in me where I was just like, I don't need to listen. Like, why am I treating this, like, why am I giving energy into this false story? This made up story, I guess, in my head. And I guess like a better example, or this may be like an example that may make people uncomfortable, but I don't really care. But like, so think of it like this way. You take like a KKK member, we're going there, y'all, we're going there. You take like a KKK member and you ask them their opinion of someone like me, someone who's Black, you know, more than likely you're not going to hear something that's wonderful. You ask the Westboro Baptist Church about someone like me. There's a lot of different groups that don't like a lot of different things about me. Anyways, you know, you're not going to hear a lot of wonderful things about gay people. But if you go to if you ask somebody else, you go to other cultures, you go to other belief systems, you go to different places, you're going to hear a completely different viewpoint. So just because if what you're reading is from, or what you're hearing is from I guess my whole point is that consider the source. Consider the source of what you're getting your information from. Consider the source. When you ask me about demons, consider the source of who you're asking, because I'm in a satanic coven and I help run a satanic business. So obviously, if you're going to ask me a question on demons, I'm going to have a different opinion than someone who is a hardcore Christian. That's just the reality of it. And so really that's why it's just so important to go with what resonates with you. Don't take anything as fact. Just go with what makes sense to you. And it's just like, okay, like if my viewpoints of demons resonates with you, perfect. This can still be intertwined with your own belief system, even if it's with Christianity. Like me personally, this may be a shock to a lot of people, but I still like probably in a weekly or bi-weekly basis, I still say my prayers to God. Because I mean, I don't really want to get into it just because it's like, I feel like not part of the subject, but you know, it's possible. It's perfectly okay to have your own belief system. When someone asks me what my belief system is, I just say it's spirituality because it's impossible for me to just categorize my belief system and for one thing. It's so limiting to just be like, I wouldn't consider myself a Satanist just because I feel like that's just so limiting to every of my whole viewpoints and my beliefs on everything. And so, yeah, I hope I kind of answered your question. I don't really want to get into too long of a tangent. If you guys do have any other questions, just leave them down in the comments below if it's regarding to this, and I can just hopefully clarify it for you. But yeah, like, thank you so much for asking this question, Maddie, and thank you guys so much for watching this video. If what I said resonated with you, maybe you want to give me a little bit of a like and a subscribe. You know, maybe you want to leave a comment. Maybe you want to ask a question so you can be part of next week's video on me answering your question. Maybe you want to do that. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I really hope this does make sense to you. And also, anyone that's watching this video, what is your opinion as well? I feel like this is like the purpose of why I wanted this community, so we can all have, no matter where we're coming from, that's something that I've learned a lot through emailing you guys, is like we all have such different beliefs and come from such different backgrounds that it's so interesting the take everyone has from their different cultures and how they were raised, and just their own practices when it comes to certain things. So yeah, please tell me y'all's opinions on demons as well. I feel like we can all learn from each other, and yeah, I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to connect with you guys more. I am going to just try. I'm not going to make a promise because I don't want to set myself up on the chance that I can't. Because I did bring some tarot cards, so I will try to do a tarot scope, but I don't know how, I would have to like try to figure out a setup, and I don't know. But yeah, I love you guys so much, and I can't wait to connect with you guys more soon. Bye guys.